Good morning, wrestling fans, and welcome to your Saturday morning wrestling news headlines right here on the Cultaholic Wrestling YouTube channel. Joining me as always on these crispy Saturday mornings is Sam Driver. And Sam, before we get going, I need to ask you, what are you doing with your Saturday afternoon?
Well, I'm going to be presenting some graded, and I'm going to be doing some editing on some big editing projects that we as the editing team do.
And
then I'm probably going to eat a bit of lunch, and there's a can of ginger ale left in the fridge. I might have that, and it should be an alright afternoon. What about you, Ross?
No, you're doing none of that, Sam. What you're doing is you're going to sit down on the couch, put YouTube on, tune in at 1 p.m. GMT to watch our Survivor Series 2020 punishment video. Team Adam. Sorry, not Team Adam. Team Owen, consisting of Owen Mawson, of course, Adam Pacitti and myself, will be watching every single Royal Rumble match back to back to back over the course of a 36-hour period, Sam. And you're going to sit there for the whole 36 hours and watch us. That's what you're going to do. That was the right answer.
I've got nothing else better to do with my time, Ross.
Exactly. Here are your Saturday morning wrestling news headlines. WWE wants WrestleMania 37 to better the Super Bowl attendance. A huge WWE Superstar wants to wrestle for another promotion, and a WWE Superstar reveals an iconic theme is getting replaced. Find out whose theme in a little tickle. So first of all, Sam, according to a report from the Wrestling Observer newsletter, WWE is watching how this year's Super Bowl goes in terms of how many fans go inside of the arena and how successful those fans being inside the arena actually is, because of course WrestleMania 37 and the Super Bowl is happening inside the same Raymond James Stadium. Are you looking forward to the Super Bowl, Sam?
Absolutely. Packers are going to win it. Packers are going to do it again this year. We're going to do it. We're going to win. But it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense, this. It really does. I don't know if they're going to be able to better the Super Bowl attendance, considering the Super Bowl is one of the hottest tickets you can ever possibly get, because it's impossible to get Super Bowl tickets. But I think they're going to give it a good run for its money. I think we need to also maybe look to Japan, where Japan's been allowing in about like half capacity venues. So say for Wrestle Kingdom, they had I think 20,000-ish there each night out of the 44,000 they usually have like space available anyway. So it's going to be, a lot of this stuff as we move back into what is being dubbed the new normal, I guess. It's uneven footing, it's new territory. We've never had to really deal with this before, and fingers crossed, they can pull a big enough crowd while keeping it safe.
Yeah, the legend goes around the new sites at the moment that WWE are just going to sit back and see how many fans are inside the Super Bowl and then just aim to have a slightly bigger attendance. Whether that be one person, whether that be a few hundred people, it remains to be seen. But as
6 members of staff just getting tacked on to the end there, just taking over.
Raymond James Stadium, by the way, it holds 65,890 seats. But of course, that will be reduced slightly by WWE presumably having a big old massive WrestleMania stage. But then that attendance will go up slightly again, and the space available to WWE will go up slightly once again when you figure in the seats on the pitch level at ringside. So there should be plenty of room inside that big bloody stadium to have people properly socially distanced and safe, and all those protocols in place.
Well, that's it. I think it's got to be like a similar size to the Citrus Bowl, was it, where we were at for WrestleMania 33. I think that's just slightly bigger, but
about
there's
10,000 more.
There's enough room in that sort of space, I'd figure, that you can have entire blocks just cordoned off that people can't access and stuff like that. But fingers crossed they're able to do it, because to be able to say we drew a bigger crowd than the Super Bowl in these times is one thing, but it's still a huge deal.
Got to do it safely, haven't you? And just to add on to this, a report from eWrestlingNews.com, it states that WWE is said to want to have 30,000 people in the building for both nights of WrestleMania 37. If the Super Bowl draws more than that, WWE will let more fans in. But there we go. But as things are going in the NFL, the American football right now, apparently the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who of course play inside Raymond James Stadium, they do the footballs and kick it through the posts and all that stuff. They've had around 15,000 fans in attendance. So maybe the number will be more similar to that than the 30,000 that they apparently want.
On the point of that stadium, it also has that big pirate ship that we were all wanting Kyrie Sane to do something with. I think that this year, just for a laugh, just because why not, instead of the referee counting 1, 2, 3, they should just fire the cannon 3 times. That's what they should do. 98 times during a match with loads of near falls. Could you imagine it? Just.
You know what they should do, Sam? They should stuff the cannon inside the arena with COVID vaccines and then fire it off and then just scattergun and have them land in people's arms just out the cannon straight away. And I say that because we have news which we couldn't put in the title because we are scared of the wrestling algorithm on the YouTube sort of thing.
Yeah,
Well, not the wrestling algorithm,
it was the combination of both words. There's been a lot of conspiracy flying around, and it's a bit up in the air.
But here is this dirty secret news that we can't tell you about in the title. According to Fightful on their paid select service, WWE talent were recently informed that they wouldn't be getting the COVID vaccine through the company, with talent, of course, now being responsible for getting the vaccine on their own. Your immediate thoughts on that news there, Sam?
I mean, I don't know what the American system's going to be like anyway with the vaccine, because obviously we will get it through our healthcare system, and it's a whole different thing over there. So I don't know if employers are going to be doing that, or whether it is going to be more of a personal thing, like countrywide. But the fact that American outlets are reporting on it suggests that maybe, it's not something that, a normal company would be doing. It's a company with WWE's revenue. I feel like, all they want is to get back to normal, right? Arenas full of people, talent safely able to work without any worry of getting infected or anything. It would make so much sense to do it. I understand there's probably going to be an astronomical cost involved with it, but come on.
But the same report from Fightful Select also notes that there's been conflicting reactions backstage in WWE. Some people are surprised by the decision that they won't be getting the vaccine through the company, who they are, of course, working for, not as employees, but as independent contractors. Yes. And that's what it boils back down to.
They're no better than a plumber, an electrician, a fibre optic broadband guy. That's the type of job a wrestler is.
Yeah, but it makes you wonder, because, of course, as I've said many times on this channel, on the Straight to Hell episode with Dave Meltzer, Big Daddy Dave, he said, or revealed to me, that the people working inside the Stamford, Connecticut offices for WWE, they get healthcare. So will they, in turn, get the vaccine compared to independent contractors who won't? So it makes you wonder what's going on there.
Also, just want to say, wasn't just crapping on plumbers and electricians and fibre technicians. We do need them to exist. I was just merely pointing out that they're seen in the same spheres.
Keep digging, Sam. But Fightful also claimed there is a ton of frustration among talent that they've spoken to, they being Fightful, the talent that Fightful has spoken to, because some influential people in WWE are actively speaking against COVID, and it's fake and all that bollocks.
It's utterly blowing my mind that we're still going over this whole argument, but whatever. It's everybody needs to be in a situation where it's safe, and I think the best way forward with that is for the company to make sure everybody's vaccinated. But
And speaking of a vaccination, Sam, a vaccination for bad wrestling is watching Friday Night Smackdown. The segues are fantastic on YouTube video, right?
You're really killing it today.
So, of course, later today, I'll be back with the WTF moments for last night's SmackDown. Sam has already watched SmackDown as we're sat here right now, and he'll be back with Graded before SmackDown gets published, but the WTF gets published, I should say. But that's besides the point. So, trying to avoid spoilers for your Graded episode, Sam, just give us a noise coming out of last night's SmackDown. How are you feeling about last night's SmackDown?
I'll accompany it with emotion that you're not really going to be able to see because my knees are down here, but...
Looks like he's having a big old Tommy tug there. But coming out of last night's SmackDown, we have an updated Royal Rumble card. Of course, we know the WWE Championship match will see the freshly cleared to wrestle Daddy Drew McIntyre defend his title against Goldberg. The Universal Championship last man standing match between Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens. That didn't get changed on last night's SmackDown. That's still going ahead. Then we have updated fields for the men's and the women's Royal Rumble matches. Currently, as we're sat here right now, in the men's Rumble match, we have Daniel Bryan, Bobby Lashley, AJ Styles, Randy Orton, and his burnt face. Otis, The Miz, Jey Uso, Cesaro, Jeff Hardy, Shinsuke Nakamura, bring on the money, Sami Zayn, Dolph Ziggler, Big E, and 17 more names to be announced between now and next, well, not necessarily between now and next Sunday. We might get a few surprises, of course, Sam. But in terms of the women's match, we have Nia Jax, Charlotte Flair, Bayley, Bianca Belair, Mandy Rose, Dana Brooke, Peyton Royce, Alexa Bliss, Shayna Baszler, Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, my pal Tamina, and 18 more names. Any headlines you want to talk about just quickly about last night's SmackDown?
the opening segment and closing segment were both done very nicely and worked in a very cyclical manner. They involved Roman, Heyman, Pierce, Owens, that entire scenario. They somehow managed to pull the obstacle course off. I don't know how they managed to do it. As I think we talked about this last week, it was like, they're going to do an obstacle course. In any other show, if it was any other show, I'd be like, oh, but I knew SmackDown would somehow make it work, and they did. But it's just, just another straightforward, solid week of WWE TV there from the Blue Brand.
From the Blue Brand, not so much Raw. But speaking about straightforward and solid, we now move on to Daniel Bryan, who has revealed recently that this is his last sort of big run in WWE. With the end is nigh for Daniel Bryan's in-ring WWE career on a more full-time basis. That much we know because he said so himself. But while we might be in the midst of Daniel Bryan's big final run in WWE, that doesn't necessarily mean his in-ring career as a whole is coming to a close, because he has been speaking to some Spanish language press. Who they are, I have no idea. It's just been put
the
that
Spanish
sort of
language press.
Yes, that's who they are.
That's
and he says he wants to wrestle for another promotion. If I said to you, Sam, Daniel Bryan wants to wrestle for another promotion, and he said this to the Spanish language press, who would you be saying that would be?
I'd like to say CMLL because I follow CMLL closer than I follow AAA.
Well, today's your lucky day, Sam.
What?
It's CMLL. Yeah! He wants to go on their anniversario show, have I said that correctly?
Yeah.
If WWE, of course, would allow him to do that, which indicates, by the way, of course, that while Daniel Bryan's in-ring career, it's winding down, he's not actively looking to go out of, leave WWE, leave his contract from WWE. He wants to get the blessings of the company to go and wrestle outside. And your reactions to that, being a big CMLL fan?
Well, I'm not a mega CMLL fan, but I try and follow it as much as I can. There's a guy that wrestles there called Titan, who I would love to see Bryan go up against. Sabrina Jr. It's so many people, but the interesting thing here is that CMLL have a little bit of a partnership with somebody who's a little bit further away than Mexico is, and that's New Japan Pro Wrestling. And so if Bryan appears for CMLL, maybe we'll see him appear for New Japan. And I can't stress this enough, hopefully working absolutely safely with no risk of injury to Daniel Bryan. Don't kill me in the comments, but I would love to see Daniel Bryan working that New Japan style and really, getting one last big hurrah, for the real technical wrestling ability that he has.
I don't want to crap on your dreams and aspirations, Sam, but people who know what they're talking about on the Twitter machine have really kind of pooped on the idea of Daniel Bryan potentially turning up in CMLL. Not only would WWE need to allow that to happen, and that's very unlikely because WWE don't really let that happen, do they ever?
But apparently there's nothing they can do.
He doesn't want to do that. You can't leave that guaranteed money, can you? If you're in Daniel Bryan's position with a young family, presumably.
Yeah, but if he's at a point where he's like, you know what, I'm going to transition out, he could probably easily leave WWE, go make some money, and then come back to WWE into maybe a backstage position if that was something that was going to happen. But yeah, if he's got to ask for blessing, then I guess it's not gonna pan out.
So we have the WWE rings to jump through. Then apparently we have the CMLL bubble, apparently, Sam, has been described as. That needs to be negotiated. Tricky waters, apparently. And then also people who know what they're talking about have noted that CMLL maybe isn't the CMLL that Daniel Bryan remembers. It's fallen from grace, and maybe they've handled these kind of scenarios with imported stars not too well in the not too distant past. So apparently...
Yeah.
It's pretty much unlikely.
I mean, they're more of a... The only reason I could see Bryan sort of working is that CMLL are more traditional, family-oriented wrestling company in the sense that, you go there, you are entertained, there's nothing too crass, there's nothing too, horrible going on. It's not like extreme or anything like that. You just go there to be entertained, and they have more of a focus on in-ring style. So that's why I could see Bryan working there, but... a boy can dream.
A boy can dream, and I heard you speaking there, Sam, about family-orientated stuff. And the next superstar we're going to speak about, he has a family, Sam. He's got a family, damn it, because a superstar has revealed that their iconic theme, "The End Is Nigh," for that as well. Ooh. Who is that superstar? If I was saying to you an iconic theme in WWE, a superstar mentioning they're working on a brand new one to replace a theme, who were guessing, Sam? Who were guessing? Let's play a game.
There was some rumblings. back around the time he came back as a much more refined person, a much more nasty person, and I think I might have got it sussed. Is it potentially Tribal Chief, Island of Relevancy, Paul Heyman's big old boy?
It is
Roman
the number
Reigns.
one table salesman in North America. Roman Reigns has revealed to Bleacher Report that new theme music is in the works, but he's urged WWE fans to be patient because he wants to get it right. Here's what he said. With this character, it has to be the right vibe. We can't just hire a rapper and check out this guitar riff. It can't be some rock music. So rock music fans, don't get your hopes up. It's not going to be that. The Shield music, I wasn't even really into it back in the day, but over the years, it just started working. You get so used to it that I just time my pace to it. But yeah, it takes some time and it has to be right. In order to move away from something you've had for so long and is so recognizable like the music I have now, it's got to be perfect. It's taken some time, but we're definitely working on it, so please be patient. So, I reckon, right, if we're talking in terms of vibes and this new bastard Roman Reigns, I reckon Fuji's. I reckon that's the sort of vibe we're going for. Scott Hall, ECW, ready or not, here I come.
Yeah.
You can't hide. I'm gonna hide. Oh, I'm gonna hide. I reckon we're going down that road. Where do you reckon we're going, Sam? With Roman Reigns?
It's more in line with that. Roman, if he says he's moving away from guitar orientated stuff, then I don't think it's going to sound anything like the Shield theme that he's been using, obviously, for quite some time. But yeah, I'd say maybe more in line with a more mellow, threatening sort of sound to it than maybe a bit more sparse as well, because he's alone on the Island of Relevancy, isn't he?
Or maybe it's a red herring and he's just going to get Rikishi's Bad Man theme, because that's what everybody does, isn't it? That's what everybody does.
Or
and it does
he could
fit
have
well.
I Am the Table as well. I am the table.
It just turns into a human table. But that's it for your Saturday morning wrestling news headlines. Sam, any closing remarks before we bugger off and do some SmackDown related things?
No, I'll be back with SmackDown graded in just a bit. I wish you well on Jesus Christ, that stream is going to be whew. But yeah, I graded might be a little bit longer again this week, I guess, as well, because SmackDown had 95 million segments. But
Good.
Yeah, what about you?
Yep, fine. If you do the crime, got to do the time. And that's what we do. And kick it off at 1 p.m. GMT. I think it starts with Owen and Adam, and then I'll be in at around 5. We're going to do, since it's a team punishment, we're going to do a rotating cast via Zoom all the way through. But new technology being debuted on this stream, so keep your eyes peeled.
There's a whole extra screen and everything. It's like a command station in here now.
Oh, yeah, it's going to go so horribly wrong. We'll see you a bit later on today. Wave to the camera, Sam.
Tatty bye, everybody.